accidentally submitted 2 applications?
That's a great question. I would imagine your technical staff may be able to help with that. I mean, this happens all the time with online applications, people doing online procedures. I'm sure you've done it. I've done it. I've taken a survey online and accidentally hit the send button twice, and they got it twice. So I'm not sure what the technical solution is. Maybe, you could have a note on the online form. If you accidentally send this in twice, please contact us, email us, let us know. We're just concerned that without that kind of language in there, people are already going to be intimidated, some people, from doing an online application in the first place, and we want to make sure that they're not dissuaded into thinking that they're not going to be able to technically get it right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? No. Thank you very much. The next person we have on our in sign on order is Peter, and I can't quite read the last name. Van Meter, I think.
I'm Peter Van Meter from Sausalito. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come up and speak to you today. I'm going to address a couple of points. I've given you written comments that go into a lot of other things, but I'll just leave my comments to a couple of big ones today. The main theme that I want to address is the ultimate makeup of the commission. So when the 14 members are revealed to the public, what will they see and what will be their perception of that commission? I use the phrase here that in a perfect world, this would be a group of people that no one ever heard of. And that is not necessarily to be literally taken, but it's to think of a group of highly qualified citizens that represent the diversity characteristics of the state, the demographics, the geographic diversity, all the factors that are in the proposed regulations regarding that mix of people that are representing the people of California, but that are, in effect, ordinary citizens that have the skills and the qualifications to complete the duties of the commission. But the opposing makeup might be a panel that would end up being a group of highly known advocates, activists, that come from the representative communities of the state, that satisfy those diversity requirements, but which can be perceived by the public to have preconceived agendas that they want to advance while sitting on the commission. And this is kind of a tricky thing. How do you, in effect, design it so that you end up with a group of people that are highly qualified, but which do not have the perception of the public of a specific agenda that they want to advance in the redistricting process? One of the things is to consider, how do you deal with the question of recommendations that are made? Do the ordinary citizens have access to so-called high-profile recommenders? In other words, is it going to be a question of the applicant review panel considering who are the people that are making recommendations, an example, as to the validity of validating the qualifications of the applicant? And I'm not suggesting that this can be written into the exact language of the regulations. I'm really trying to point out the basic philosophy of how they're designed. In looking at specific language that can address this point, we go to section 60805B, where the individuals are expected to demonstrate their appreciation for the geographic and demographic diversity of the state. As it's drafted right now in the 3 subsections there, language specifically talks about working on statewide projects, studying voter behavior, or done statewide consensus building. And I would suggest that these examples being brought forward as a way of demonstrating that capability would vastly limit your pool of applicants, because there's going to be the vast majority of highly qualified citizens who in fact have never engaged in those 3 kinds of example activities. So specifically, I'm suggesting that those phrases be modified, that the first 2 be in effect deleted, And I think someone mentioned earlier that the one about working on consensus building be reoriented to emphasize local activities as well as regional and state activity. But I would put as a number one criteria in this demonstration that the person is familiar with the California diversity, backgrounds, geographic areas, the rest of those criteria through their life experience, and that your applications, which has the opportunity for people to explain that on their behalf, emphasize that point. Another issue that comes up is the idea that certain community partners, which I agree should be brought in the process to encourage applicants, may include those with very high-profile advocacy positions. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they may bring forth what I would call the ordinary citizen out from their outreach efforts. But I would be concerned if the main role of those organizations is to, in effect, bring forth their leadership of those partner organizations to be members of the commission. Because, again, perception of the public at the end of the day is going to make a huge difference here. In my view, the people that voted for Proposition 11 had the vision that these would be, in effect, ordinary citizens that had the technical skills. Once they represent that diversity, when you look at the total panel together, but it would have the technical skills to actually engage in the process of ending up drawing the maps. And would not be a group of highly politicized advocates. The second point that I want to make is regarding the skill set that is needed in order to actually effectively do this map drawing process. There's another aspect to this besides just looking at whether areas are urban, rural, etc. And I call this the ability for the applicant to demonstrate what I call a sense of place. In other words, natural terrain features, rivers, the San Francisco Bay, mountains, etc., in what a one-dimensional map may look like contiguous regions, can actually have a tremendous effect, those natural factors. Man-made features can have exactly the same effect. Large swaths of industrial sections that are in the middle of two residential neighborhoods, highways, transportation arteries, things of this type. So I think that you'll see in my written comments is a number of areas where we can put in effect, demonstration of an appreciation of the effect of natural terrain and man-made features on neighborhoods and communities of interest. Finally, in terms of going back to the this potential activist situation in the application itself, and someone mentioned about putting 500 words into the essays. I agree with that point. To balance out the final point, which actually already had a 500-word requirement of listing your activities, because again, to me, that seemed to be an overemphasis on the activities of the person as opposed to giving adequate text to identify their skill sets. Any questions?
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
comments. The next person I have on the list, and I can't quite make out the last name again, I'm sorry, is Bob Abel. Is there a Bob who wanted to testify or comment? No? Okay, then the next name I have is Jim Vanderveen. Is there a Jim Vanderveen here? Okay, the next person I have is Ethan Jones. Okay, thank you. Kathleen Sanders. Corrine Fishman. Derek Cressman.